Hi, today Ask F5 shows you how to permit or restrict access to a virtual server based on the client IP address. If you want to allow access from a specific IP address or network, you can configure the source address setting for the virtual server with the allowed IP addresses. If you want to block certain client IP addresses or network, you can specify the IP addresses to block using local traffic policies, iRules, or packet filters. When you configure the source address settings for a virtual server, the virtual server only accepts traffic from configured IP addresses. You can use address lists to create a list of client IP addresses and networks that you want to allow access to a virtual server, and then select the address list in the source address setting for the virtual server. Note that when you configure the source address setting, the big IP system resets any connection attempts from client IP addresses that do not match those in the address list. To do so, log into the configuration utility and go to Shared Objects, Address Lists. Select Create. For name, enter a name for the list. For addresses, enter the IP addresses or network addresses in CIDR format for all of the clients that you want to allow. After each one, select Add. You can repeat these steps for any other client IP addresses that you want to allow. Then select Save. Now go to the Local Traffic, Virtual Servers. Select the name of the virtual server that you want to allow access to. For the source address setting, select Address List, then select the name of the address list you just created. Select Update. You can restrict access based on client IP addresses using local traffic policies. Using local traffic policies, you can specify the client IP addresses and networks to disallow for a virtual server. You can manage all of the IP addresses in a single data group and reference the data group in the policy. Note that the example policy in this demo resets the connection after the three-way TCP handshake completes if the client IP address matches one in the data group. To do so, log into the configuration utility. Go to Local Traffic, iRules, Data Group List. Select Create. For name, enter a name for the data group. For type, select Address. For the address setting, enter the IP addresses or networks of the clients that you want to disallow and select Add after each one. Repeat the steps to add more addresses as needed. When you're done, select Finished. Now go to Local Traffic, Policies. Select Create. For policy name, enter a name for the policy. Select Create Policy. Under Rules, select Create. For name, enter a name for the rule. Select the Add icon to expand the settings. Now create a directive that reads as follows. TCP address matches in data group, your data group name, at client accepted time. Under Do the following when traffic is matched, select the Add icon to expand the settings and create the following directive. Reset traffic connection at client accepted time. Select Save. Next to Save Draft, select the down arrow and select Save and Publish Policy. Go to Local Traffic, Virtual Servers. Under Resources, for the virtual server, select Edit. Under Policies, select Manage. In the Available list, select the name of the policy, then move it to the Enabled list. Then select Finished. You can use an iRule to restrict virtual service access based on the client IP address. You can manage all of the IP addresses and the networks in a single data group and reference the data group in the iRule. When you employ the iRule to restrict access, the big IP system denies access to the virtual server if the rule configuration is incorrect for your environment. The example policy in this demo drops the connection after the three-way TCP handshake completes if the client IP address matches an address in the data group. To do so, log into the configuration utility. Go to Local Traffic, iRules, Data Group List. Select Create. For name, enter a name for the data group list. For type, select Address. For address, enter the IP address or network of the clients that you want to disallow and select Add. Repeat to add more addresses as needed. Select Finished. Go to Local Traffic, iRules. Select Create. For name, enter a name for the iRule. For definition, enter the following code syntax, which you can copy below. Replace the data group name with the name of the data group that you created. Select Finished. Go to Local Traffic, Virtual Servers. Under Resources for the virtual server, select Edit. Under iRules, select Manage. In the Available list, select the name of the iRule and move it to the Enabled list. Select Finished. Restrict access based on client IP addresses using packet filters. Packet filters accept or reject traffic based on criteria you specify, such as protocol, source and destination IP address, and destination port. You can restrict access to a virtual server by creating a rule to filter for the specified client IP address or network and the IP address and port of the virtual server. When you restrict access in this way, the big IP system denies access to the virtual server if the packet configuration is incorrect for your environment. To do so, log into the configuration utility. Go to Network, Packet Filters, General. For packet filtering, select Enabled. Select Update. Select the Rules tab. Select Create. For name, enter a name for the rule. For order, select First. For action, select Discard or Reject. Discard drops matching packets. Reject drops matching packets and also sends a rejection packet to the sender. Reject behavior depends on the configuration of the Send ICMP error on the Packet Reject option in the General Properties. For logging, select Enabled if you want the big IP system to log each time a packet matches the rule. For source hosts and networks, select Restrict to any in list. For source hosts and network list, enter the IP address or network of the clients you want to disallow and select Add. Repeat to add more addresses as needed. For destination hosts and networks, select Restrict to any in list. For destination hosts and network list, enter the IP address of the virtual server that you want to protect and select Add. For destination port, select Restrict to any in list. For destination port list, enter the port number on the virtual server that you want to protect and select Add. Select Finished. That's it. If you have questions or comments, please send us an email. Thank you for watching.